Hello and welcome. The goal of this podcast is to get listeners connected with others in the sports industry because they say it's all about who you know, and now you know us. All right, hello and welcome everybody to the Constant Sports Podcast. This is episode number 47 today. We have a very great guest in Charlie Westerman joining us today. So thanks for joining us today, Charlie.
For sure, Connor. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Of course. Yeah, we're looking to get into it. We have Charlie's the CEO and founder of Playcheck, so we're gonna kind of dive into kind of the business side of things, starting a company, roles and responsibilities, everything that goes into that. Charlie's got a cool background with some basketball academy experience, some coaching experience, along with some other business acumen that he's had over the years in the sports slash kind of just business sector. So, Charlie, I guess let's just get started and kind of dive into a little bit of your journey and how you found yourself working in this sector.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, my background, I've always loved sports. I've always wanted to start my own business. I never was a college athlete, but played basketball throughout high school. I ended up coaching AAU, travel basketball, high schoolers, middle schoolers. I also have a background working at the last company I was at called Postscript, which was a text message marketing platform for Shopify stores. So was able to do a lot of software sales in the e-commerce space. So with all of that, I started the Playcheck a little bit based off of an inspiration from my dad, actually. He's a business owner as well, and he obviously knows how much I love sports. And
Mm-hmm.
he came home one day because he went to, or I visited him, and he was at a business roundtable
Yeah.
with one of the collective guys from Purdue.
Mm.
And my dad's not the type of guy to get shiny object syndrome, but the way he was explaining this whole NIL space to me, which I had already been following for a couple of years, but some of his new angles on it and what he heard said at the roundtable, he was buzzing when he was telling me about this. So I thought about it a little more, and a couple months later, I was starting my own business.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty wild journey, but I feel like it's not super out of the blue. I think this
Yeah.
is the right business at the right time for me.
Yeah. It's perfect. Great. Kind of giving us an intro to that, and it's always a plus when you find the right business, right time, and timing plays a big role into that, especially kind of as you touched on the NIL. And it's a newer sector. I know it's been around for 3-ish years now, but relatively speaking, from a sector not existing to the now existing, rather new. So, is that I guess kind of talking to AAU a little bit, and kind of the coaching background and the development side of that is, I guess I was just curious your thoughts on kind of the AAU business model in a sense, right? I mean, I feel like it's vast. I mean, it's like with baseball, travel baseball, a lot of money goes into that as well. Do you see that as a continuing business model for these AAU teams? Is it profitable? I guess to start, kind of what's the business side look like that on that side of things?
Yeah, so I can't tell you much about the business side. To be honest, I was just a coach, and I can get into that a lot. I will say that the program that I was working at was mostly just around the Chicago area.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm still involved with this program. I shouldn't say that I used to work there, but the program's pretty much just involved around the Chicago area until the highest high school levels, where they'll take tournaments in Milwaukee, Las Vegas. So it's not one of those organizations that's in the Nike EYBL circuit,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely a crazy business, and it's only going to get crazier with the NIL stuff. Now
Right.
that you've got one of the things that this might not be such a issue with basketball, but I'm a little nervous about performance enhancing drugs
Uh-huh.
in high schoolers. I think that that's something to look out for over the next decade, especially with the new money that's out there. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's going to be some competitive advantages taken that I'm a little nervous about, to be
I
honest with
see.
you.
As because they're seeing, there's more money, right, for these high schools. Okay, in some states I can get, I can profit off my name, image, and likeness. So if I can, and I feel like there's less regulations. I don't think
There's no
high school
regulation.
athletes, yeah, get tested at all. So that I could see
There's no
where, yeah, that.
regulation, and there's so much incentive now
Mhm.
that I don't know. That's one of the scarier parts about all of this.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't considered that, but as you kind of bring that point up, it makes, unfortunately, it makes sense, right? I mean, if you have no testing, no regulations, and then you also have on the flip side of that, I can earn X amount of money based upon my name, image, and likeness because I'm good at basketball, football, etc. Kind of opens the door. So that would be interesting if high school, associations start to implement these types of, I guess, drug type of, regulations that college has or testing protocols and etc. Interesting. Okay, that's good. Good note to keep on that side of things. And then as far as the coaching aspect, you said you kind of still with the academy or whatnot. Is there, I guess, certain coaching, I guess, books or things that you've stayed on top of the industry as far as a coach, and then that you've kind of parlayed into now being a business owner?
You know, one of the best parts about coaching is, I would say the two best parts of coaching are the communication skills. So a lot of the times when you're writing something or you're speaking, sometimes you can just simplify it by saying, how would you express this to a seventh grade basketball player?
Yeah,
And oftentimes that's actually the best way to communicate anything,
yeah,
is to just keep it simple. And as a basketball coach, you're selling to your team. Every
right.
huddle, every practice, anytime you're talking to them, why should we listen to you? That's a sale.
Yep, very
And then
true.
time management's huge. Time management, obviously an enormous life skill, but
Mhm.
really is something that you develop while coaching. Practice, especially these AAU teams, it's not like a school team. You're doing twice a week, usually an hour and a half.
Mm.
How are we going to schedule this? We sucked at rebounding this weekend. How much time do we have to allocate to a rebounding drill this week? Or we can't hit water out of a boat shooting. How much do we have to do on that? And then in the games, up six, or let's say down six, 2 minutes left, kids at the free throw line, running clock until the last minute. When are we using our last time out here? When do we start
Right.
fouling? This kid, all of this stuff was great practice for what I'm doing now. And
Mhm.
I think it's transferable to any job. So I think that if anyone's out there that's really good at a sport, look into coaching,
Mhm.
because it's not just, it's uncomfortable at first, but if it's something that you can get good at, it'll help you out in a lot of different avenues.
Right. Yeah, a lot of transferable skills, it sounds like, especially with kind of, I guess that's one of the main reasons a lot of parents have kids play sports, right? A lot of hard work, dedication, showing up on time. These types of things are all transferable into, the business side of things when, or I guess just being an employee or what have you. You don't have to, be a CEO or founder to have those skills, obviously. But as we talked about a little bit of kind of the intro, your timing and the start of Playcheck with connecting athletes and businesses. So give us kind of an overview of what exactly Playcheck is, how one of your core kind of concepts is facilitating partnerships with athletes and businesses. So what does that look like? Kind of give us the overview of Playcheck.
Sure. Yeah. The Playcheck started in March, like I said, a couple months ago. So we're a baby still. And two sides to it. One side, we're an influencer marketing agent where we're essentially brokering deals between college athletes and businesses on social media. So
Mm.
this isn't a novel idea that I came up with. This is happening. You see this in a lot of different places. I think what's separates us is there's the plan was to have no agency commitment to us. Now that recently changed since we hired, or since we signed a former BYU gymnast. She wants us to be
Mhm.
her talent manager full time. At this stage of the game, that's too good of an opportunity for us to pass up. But
Right.
usually, what we've been doing is just setting up one-off deals between athletes that we find interesting and on the rise, and businesses that can fit with that athlete's brand. So
Right.
I can give an example there. our first athlete was actually a San Diego State cheerleader named Vanessa. Her name's Vanessa. We set her up with a hair brand. Now, the hair brand, the advertisement on TikTok did really well. And I believe that part of the reason why is because Vanessa actually uses this this hair
That
brand.
always helps. Yeah.
And especially with college athletes, their engagement rates are already higher than the average influencer,
Yep.
which is huge for someone that's marketing. And I've noticed, especially with college kids, you can definitely tell if this person actually uses the product or if
Mhm.
they're just, trying to collect a check. I
Yep.
think, and I think tailoring those partnerships is very valuable and important to make an effective marketing advertisement.
No, I agree, and I think it's easy for the people to see like, oh, this isn't authentic and whatnot. So it's good to kind of have that as one of the first points as you build that up is connecting, making it sure it's the right fit and authentic.
Yeah. And then the second side of the business is we are a recruiter, headhunter for these
Mhm.
college kids who aren't going to play professional sports, but are interested in staying in the social media realm, social
Mhm.
media content, some entry level sales stuff. That's that's the Playcheck in a nutshell right there.
There it is, and you said it kind of started in March. So what are as I guess it's three months kind of on the in the business side of things and starting this company, what are some I guess challenges, growing pains that you've seen in the startup industry to begin?
Yeah. Well, the hardest part is no one really trusts you, right? There,
Yeah.
you don't, I don't have the strongest use cases yet. That's what I'm trying to build up. And I think that's the hardest part of any startup is no one believes you because you're new. I've had athletes say, I just took this call. It seemed interesting. I wasn't sure if you guys were a scam. And we get that. We've gotten that a couple times. So just proving ourselves, the growing pain that any startup has. I don't think our startup pains are super unique to the ones
Mhm.
that others are having.
Right, right. Yeah, a lot of the same problems and issues, and I one of the aspects that intrigues me on your side of the business is the kind of the headhunter type thing for the athletes. So it's obviously providing a service and finding a problem in industry and then solving it is key. So is when you talk to these athletes, prior to graduation or whatnot, what is kind of their experience with jobs? How are you kind of helping them tailor resumes, maybe if they don't have enough experience to then getting jobs?
Yeah, so I've been very picky with our first athlete candidates, especially since we're just starting out. And like I was mentioning earlier, trying to build out these strong use cases.
Hmm.
So for example, a lot of these social media candidates that I've been trying to get already have established audiences. So these
Hmm.
are these are the kids that, for example, a Division 3 wide receiver that has 35,000 TikTok followers. Well, if you're a wide receiver with 35,000 followers and you're not at like the Clemsons or the Alabamas
Yeah.
of the world, you have 35,000 followers because people really like your stuff
Yeah.
and you've got an engaged audience. And this is a real case that we have is that this kid makes great football videos and great
Uh,
videos on the gear he uses, practice drills, really interesting stuff that if he can translate those skills to, a sports company or any company, that's pretty valuable. So that's another angle that we're trying to work at is the proof of work. The resume is kind of already on social media, is what I
True.
what I tell the guys that we'll obviously help you with your resume, but some internship, some high school job you did isn't going to be as impressive as having 35,000 followers on TikTok.
Right. Well, and it shows kind of just that in of itself. So, as you said, kind of their resume. It's the dedication that they've shown. Like you can, yeah, I mean, I guess you could buy followers, but you can tell like engaging, not engaging, right? And then kind of building that up is essentially your own little business. Like you have that many fans of your quote unquote business. So like you said, I like what you said with the resume aspect. That's huge, especially when they're going out to show, companies or brands or whatnot. Like, hey, this is kind of what I built. This is what I got going on. So that's huge. And is that kind of, when you talk to your clients when they're on social medias, do you kind of say, hey, focus on whatever one you have the most followers in? Do you try to do kind of a cumulative approach across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok? Is there like a certain kind of methodology?
We don't give much guidance on the so we're not doing much social media consulting for these athletes right
Hmm.
now. We'd be happy to do that if a school wants to bring us on to do that.
Of
I'd be
course.
happy to. But there's not much I can tell them.
Yeah.
They've already built up all of this on their own, especially the ones I've been reaching out to originally. There's not much I could tell them. They really know what they're doing and they're super experienced at this and they understand their audience, they understand the algorithm. They're very experienced and very sharp with social media, especially someone like I was mentioning there with that many followers. And you can tell if their audience is engaged or not just by a quick look. There's not much I could tell them
Hmm.
that's gonna help at least with these starting candidates. I can help them prepare for work and help them prepare for their careers in social media and what
Right.
they might need to change or tailor at a job, but that's really it.
Hmm. I see. And then as you're kind of building up this company and kind of got the two prongs of the business, are there certain, I guess, emerging trends or kind of innovations that you see that are exciting that you're gonna, continue to go down to kind of build along with your business?
I'm super excited about the school side. I think that
Hmm.
these schools are missing out on a whole lot. I was talking to, I mentioned her earlier, Vanessa, San Diego State cheerleader,
Hmm.
a couple days ago. She's got something like 30,000 on TikTok. And I said, out of all of your 30,000 followers, my guess is at least five of them are high school cheerleaders who are considering going to San Diego State. She tells me, you have no idea. The freshmen on the team all said they watched my videos last year.
Wow.
Now, play that principle out for every sport at every school. A bit of our sales pitch to these schools is 15 years ago, if you were the start, Connor, you're the star quarterback at whatever high school. I don't
Hmm.
know what high school you went to. You go on these college visits, right? And everyone puts on the smiley face and you meet with
Yep.
the staff and they shake your hand and everyone tells you you're the greatest. You should come here. We have state-of-the-art athletic facilities. It's awesome. That was 15 years ago. Today, there's still college visits. It's more of a formality though.
Yeah.
Today, because of these, the college visit doesn't stop. We
24/7.
have TikTok videos of people in locker rooms saying, "Hey, this is a day in my life as so and so athlete." So I don't even think this is on a lot of these schools' radars that the power of this is so great, and there's a reason that they're called influencers because
Right.
they influence. And if I'm a high school star quarterback and I can use this and I could say, huh, is that someone that I want to be teammates with next year? Is that someone that I'm going to be able to get along with? That's a huge opportunity for these schools to differentiate themselves through their athletes. And I think that's something that, especially with the new money coming in, that
Hmm.
these mid-sized schools that don't have the biggest NIL collectives or can't raise as much money as the Ohio State
Yeah.
football
Yeah.
collective, something like that. Like so it's a lot like Moneyball. You got to find a
Yeah.
way to do more with less. And I just think there's such a great opportunity for that that's being untapped. And I think that's a major gap that the Playcheck can fill for a
Yeah.
lot
No,
of these schools.
That's something I didn't necessarily think about, but also it kind of made me think. I don't know how much sense this would make, but you know how like you have like referral codes, referral businesses, right? If you had an athlete that was like, you know, I went to, Indiana because I follow Charlie and I like a lot of stuff Charlie, put. If you could somehow say like, oh, I generated X amount, because then that person's coming there and they have to pay tuition and things like that. It would just be interesting with the whole revenue sharing model in college athletics. Like if that would even be possible, to have like a referral code for athletes, because I think for especially like high level college football athletes and like a Caitlin Clark, how many students went to Iowa just because she was playing basketball there? I mean, I don't know how you would tailor that specifically, if that's even possible, but it just made me think like, oh, well, that could actually possibly work in the end.
Yeah, there's the saying in marketing that 50% of it works. I just don't know which 50% it is. I think this is the 50% that works.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Caitlin Clark. That's such a great example too. The University of Iowa girls basketball team was just the University of Iowa girls basketball team. And then something happened. Caitlin
Yep.
Clark went there, right? And everything changed. And now you couldn't get me to watch, you couldn't get me to know when University of Iowa girls basketball was on 5 years ago. But
Yeah.
come last March, we all knew what time those games were on.
Yep. Everyone's
So
dialed in.
this is something that can not only change an athletic program, but this is something that can change an entire school. And I'm very excited at joining this market at this time
Hmm.
because I just see so much untapped potential with exactly like what you were saying. That's a great idea I've thought of before too. And these kids are all talking to each other anyways. There's a reason the transfer portal is
Packed.
so wild
Yeah.
because they're all they're all recruiting each other to their school. So it's already happening.
Oh yeah, no, it's already happening. It's already unfolding at a rather quick, rate of speed. It's just kind of whether or not people can figure it out and kind of, I guess, put rules, regulations in place, or keep it the way it is, I suppose. But is there, kind of as athletes kind of continue to grow and really maintain their prevalence in the industry, is there, I guess, certain predictions for the future you have with as far as athlete marketing, partnerships, kind of anything along in that vein?
Yeah, I'm going to repeat myself a little bit, but the schools that figure this stuff out the fastest are going to win.
Hmm. And do you think
Uh,
that's more like you think it'd be more beneficial for I guess, the non P5 schools opposed to the P5 schools? Do you think it doesn't matter? Money's money.
yeah, money's money. I mean, the Oakland Athletics, since Moneyball, they still haven't won a World Series. There's a reason for
Yep, very
that.
true.
At the end of the day, money is money. So it's always going to be hard to compete with those bigger schools. But even the non P5 schools, hey, do you want to win your conference?
Right.
Here's a way you can differentiate yourself to a high school kid that's considering going to this school, your rival school, and then that rival school that's also in your conference. So I think that there's such a people think that I've seen a couple things on the internet where their concern with the NIL is that the blue bloods are going to dominate.
Hmm.
And I just think that's kind of silly. The blue bloods already dominate. That's why they're called the blue bloods. And I actually think this is a greater opportunity. The more money that gets poured into this system, and also also college basketball is across the board way more talented than it
Hmm.
was even 15 years ago. The fact that you see, I don't know how crazy this March was, but you really saw it last March
Yeah.
with the schools that with Florida Atlantic making the Final
Yeah.
Four. I
Even San
mean,
Diego
when
State.
exactly that these mid-sized schools, there's a great chance for them to differentiate themselves with the combination of the greater talent pool that's just coming into general college basketball with all of the competition. I think it's an amazing opportunity for mid to small size schools to really really have a crack at the blue bloods.
Yeah, but so I think it also makes it a much more even playing field because before it was basically just a facilities, an arms race to facilities. We have the best facilities. It's going to pump out X amount of athletes. You can be better. And then the lower kind of non P5 schools didn't have as nice of facilities. They were kind of stuck. Like, okay, here we go. But now you kind of have somewhat of more equal playing field with, I mean, who knows what donor, what's, rich person went to Western Michigan, but now they want to, sponsor the collective and more money is getting pumped in. So I think it kind of gives, like I said, more of an even playing field throughout, and it gives athletes more of an opportunity to either stay closer to home or maybe they want to go somewhere else, or really gives them more options to choose from, opposed to just I'm going to go to Alabama and be the third string running back until I'm a junior or senior, right?
Did we talk about athletic facilities on our first call?
I don't think so. No. What do you got in mind?
Okay, because I've used this example before as well, but I think that social media deals, especially with national brands,
Mm-hmm.
are to the 2020s what athletic facilities were to the 2010s.
Yep.
So 10 years ago, everyone's coming out with, hey, we spent $100
Oh
million
yeah.
dollars on a new weight room, a new swimming pool, state of the art locker room,
Yep.
state of the art, everything state of the art. And to go back to my college visit example, at a certain point, you're going to every school and everyone's got a pretty nice weight room.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a pretty nice pool. Everyone's got a pretty nice training facility. These schools are going to have to find a way to differentiate themselves again if they want to stay competitive. And I think it happens on here.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I was talking to a few athletes that were doing the visits, and we were kind of talking about the same thing. And they were like, a 45-pound plate is a 45-pound plate. Like the facility is only going to be, I mean, it's not like it's going to be much different. Like a weight is going to move the same amount. It doesn't matter, right? So it's like you can put all the bells and whistles around the weight room, but the weight room's still going to be the weight room. A pool still a pool. Like, it's, I think that's kind of what these athletes start to figure out. Like, all right, that was a shiny toy, but now it's not. As you're alluding to, it's more with the, I guess, the presence that you can build, the social media aspect, the influence aspect, kind of going forward. So yeah, no, I agree with you, kind of 100% there. Is there, I guess, following kind of the entrepreneurship, sportspreneur, as I like to call it, advice that you would, give to others as you've been in this journey for the past few months, and I guess I'm assuming longer, right? Didn't just start and happen in March, but is there advice you'd give to young kind of entrepreneurs or those looking to kind of get out on their own?
That's a good question. I definitely have advice to the athletes.
Hmm. That works too.
Yeah, I would say don't underestimate your potential here. We've had people that started hosting stuff their senior year that are making it big now. Rebecca, who we signed, was telling us, I wish I started sooner. I started
Mm.
really taking this seriously in my senior year. And always be thinking about your expiration date as an athlete. It's not something that anyone wants to think about, especially when you're in it and you're practicing every day, you're training every day. You don't want to think about when it's all over.
All right.
But I wouldn't put that off. It's always good to have a plan on what's gonna happen after this. You're gonna be a non-athlete for more of your life than you're gonna be an
Oh
athlete.
yeah.
And you don't want to be stuck in a mental black hole because it is a transition for a lot of people. It's really sad. There's some videos online of you get into the former college athlete space where it's really a tough obstacle mentally for a lot of people. And it makes sense because it's so
Okay.
much of their identity. It's so much of what everyone knows them as. You
Hmm.
go back home for a little bit, the small talk's going to be, hey, how's basketball going? How's football going? How's that going? You almost have to recreate yourself. And I think that with social media, you have the opportunity to recreate yourself and show people, hey, look, I'm actually more than a basketball player. We've got a guy we're working with. He's super into anime. He loves making these anime Twitch streams and YouTube
Okay.
videos. And that's something that shows that he's a lot more than a college soccer player.
Right.
So I would keep that in mind.
Yeah. No, I like that. And kind of you talking about just posting or just start doing it now kind of reminded me of that quote where it's like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like just get started. It's not going to be any good to think about. Oh, I should have started when or whatever. Just kind of start now and create posting and kind of going along with that is you were just kind of giving advice. We'll kind of give you the floor and have you wrap up with kind of your final thoughts, final words, where the people can find Playcheck, where they can visit your stuff. And like I said, we're just kind of give you the floor to wrap us up here.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate anyone that's still listening. You can find us at theplaycheck.com, my LinkedIn, Charlie Westerman. Super interested talking to anyone in this space, especially schools, athletes, collectives. I think we can bring a lot of value to a lot of places, and we're just starting out. So we're having fun with this. And also Instagram, the Playcheck, Twitter, the Playcheck.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, happy to connect with anyone there.
Yeah, very cool. And we're excited to kind of launch this out and showcase Playcheck and the great things that you and your team are going to be creating here in the future. An exciting mission and slash vision that you guys have created, and looking forward to watching that journey. So for those listening and following, this has been another episode of the Constant Sports Podcast. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcasts, and we'll make sure to put all the Playcheck links and descriptions in the bio. So go feel free to hit up Charlie and connect if you are, an athlete, collective, etc., like you mentioned. So feel free to reach out, and thanks for all the listening, and we'll see you guys next week.